Hello, dear viewer, and welcome to another episode of the Catholic League Forum. I'm Mike McDonald, Director of Communications at the Catholic League, and joining me today is President and CEO of the Catholic League, Bill Donohue. Now, Bill, we had a very busy week, so I want to start off with what you put out on Monday, because I think it had covered a lot of ground that you don't hear in the post-election talk. You took a very interesting tact on some of the fallout from the election, taking a look at some of these politicians, political types, that, shall we say, have less than a robust commitment to the truth. I want your take on some of the things that you're talking about. So apparently last week, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, rep from New York, said that it's out of touch to imply that abortion isn't an economic issue. She added few things impact one's finance more than having a child. What's going on there?
Well, what's going on is that she's trying to shift the terms of debate. Are there economic ramifications to abortion? Sure. There's economic ramifications to peanut butter, okay? The question is this: when we talk about the military, that's principally a political issue, okay? The family's a social issue, religion's a cultural issue, the stock market is an economic issue. She knows that abortion is a biological issue, all right? She knows it's a matter of science. If she doesn't know that, she's badly educated. So it's also not just the fact that your DNA determines your own individual uniqueness, it's also a moral question as to whether or not you should save the life of the unborn. So to try and shift the terms of debate is an act of desperation. It's not going to work.
And another one, speaking of family, Rep. Eric Swalwell from California, he put out a tweet saying, "Please tell me what I'm missing here. What are we going to do next? Putting parents in charge of their own surgeries? Clients in charge of their own trials? When do we stop trusting experts? This is so stupid."
And of course, the predicate for this was the idea that should parents make decisions regarding their kids in school? Well, as I pointed out, the parents are not telling the teachers how to teach algebra or develop some new equations. They're talking about character formation. It's their children. The experts are not the teachers. When it comes to children, the experts are the parents. The children do not belong to the state. They belong to the parents. Teachers need to know their boundaries, all right? They need to be slapped back, including the National Education Association, when they violate and imperialize onto the parental rights. So again, this is an opportunity for these people who don't like the way things are going to try to shift the terms of debate. It's a failed strategy.
Yeah. And speaking of shifting, let's shift over to another topic. It kind of loomed pretty large for us. We had two big issues on this one. Dealing with the politicization of the sexual abuse scandal in the church, and
which ended about a half century ago, by the way. In terms of that's when the big news happened in the 60s and 70s and 80s when the homosexuals went wild. Yeah. They committed almost all the abuse. We will continue to say that, even though nobody wants us to say that. We have the evidence.
Yeah. And seeing all the evidence that you put into your new book, The Truth About Clergy Sexual Abuse, you're probably the right person to tackle this. So this week, the Washington Post had an editorial, and you commented that it has completely shattered the credibility of the Post, because they brought up some stuff in France, dealing with a couple of bishops back in the 80s when they were priests, doing some nefarious stuff, and they were going on about how, well, clearly the church has made no progress on combating this.
Right, we have over 5,000 bishops in the world. They found two who did something wrong, back in the 80s. I'm not going to excuse any of it. But, this is now evidence that the Catholic Church has not really made any progress and they're not full of transparency and whatnot. Washington Post is an organization which is involved in sexual cover-up, people. I wrote about it in The Truth about clergy sexual abuse. Jeff Fager was the head of 60 Minutes, all right? He was a predator. They had to fire him at CBS. Marty Barron was the editorial page editor, the editor-in-chief, rather, of the Washington Post at the time. And two reporters did a story on Fager about his sexual predation on women, and Barron killed it. Barron killed the story because he was cozy with the Washington Post. The CBS, the Washington Post, they watched out for each other. Now we know about this because one of the reporters wrote about it in New York Magazine. So there was a cover-up at the Washington Post. They didn't want to expose their friends in the media. We don't need lectures from the Washington Post about transparency when they come to the table with their hands dirty.
Yeah, absolutely. And shifting from the Washington Post and a bit of an international story to something a little bit more local, But I do think this is a good highlight of a lot of the problems that priests in America face today. In Pittsburgh this week, a priest was exonerated. So a little bit of the backstory here, Bill. This priest in 2019 was accused by, I guess, a young man came forward and said in 1998 the priest had accosted him, assaulted him. Went to trial, took a couple of years, just wrapped up this week. Finally, the priest has been exonerated. It seems like this guy made up a lot of the story here. So can you tell us a little bit more, flesh that out a little bit more?
Yeah, you know, when the scandal broke, when the the Boston Globe came out with the front page story back in 2002, in Dallas that year, the bishops met and they came up with the Dallas Charter. Now, some parts of the charter are quite good, and the bishops have made tremendous progress. They say, we don't have this problem anymore. The problem is in other religions, and it's certainly in the public schools and in Hollywood, which nobody wants to talk about. But the fact of the matter is that they overreached at that point. In other words, the priest was not given the kind of due process rights that he should be afforded. Priests should be treated as equals. Every priest who's been an accusations made against him should be assumed innocent, just like it was a Hollywood actor, okay, or the milkman. And don't assume that he's guilty. As soon as somebody makes a charge against the priest, bingo, he's removed. This guy was removed from the diocesan property, this priest, okay? Nobody investigated anything. He's just simply removed. No, this doesn't happen in any institution in the United States except for the Catholic Church. So he's removed. Now, did the accuser go to the cops? Not at all. Now, if this was my son, I'd have him go to the cops. I'd say, you gotta go after this priest. But he didn't. He sat. He sat for 2 years. Why it took 2 years, this is the way the church works, it took 2 years before the church looked at this situation, and an independent review board, which exists in all the dioceses, concluded that there was no evidence that this priest was guilty. At that point, the accuser came forward and he got a lawyer from Texas. Now remember, he lives in Pittsburgh. He gets a lawyer from Texas. He still hasn't gone to the cops. Then he goes to the cops. Well, what's going on here? Something smells here, people. And quite frankly, he learned, as we know, that he could make some money. See, the kid was looking, in all likelihood, to get some money. He's a young man now, he's in his 30s, to shake down the Catholic Church, because the Catholic Church was too quick to write the checks. But when he didn't get any money, when there was no settlement money, that's when he went to the cops, okay? And then the jury just found him that there was no evidence whatsoever. One of the reasons the jury found that way, by the way, this alleged victim said that he was assaulted twice within a 2-week period while he was preparing for Holy Communion. They have video of this. There was only one preparatory session, not two. So that couldn't have happened. Anyhow, it blew up. My point is simply this. Priests need to have their due process rights respected by the church, not just by the society, the civil society in general. And I think it's time to strengthen the rights of the priest in the Dallas Charter. With those revisions are long overdue. Our position here is very simple. If anybody's guilty of any kind of wrongdoing, throw the book at him. But in the meantime, let's protect the rights of the accused until he's found guilty. It's really not, it's a very simple elementary principle in Anglo-Saxon law, but it's not, it needs to be respected in our society a lot more and within the church itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Good points there. And dear viewer, if you're interested in any of this, especially this topic, do check out Bill's book, The Truth About Clergy Sexual Abuse. You can find more information about that on our website, catholicleague.org. We'll have a link in the description below, and you can find all the other stories we've spoken about today. And just one last item to touch on here, Bill. This has been a very busy fall for us. We've taken a lot of big projects on, and we've always had the great fortune of telling our dear viewer here what we're doing. So this week we launched another project, very excited about, taking a look at the anti-Christmas activities that are happening on campus. Yes, we're getting into Christmas season. I know since Labor Day in my mall, they've had the Christmas decorations up, so hard to forget. But we do know that there are people out there that do target Christmas. So we sent out over 350 emails to the Cardinal Newman Ministries, campus ministers on campus, the priests, deacons,
let
students
know.
there.
If you know of anything, let us know.
Yep, if you see any problems, let us know. Contact us. We're trying to be aggressive. We're always aggressive in the fight to protect Christmas.
And the reason we got to do this, as you know, Mike, because you guys prepared the report, an excellent report on this. After the Roe v. Wade was overturned, the Dobbs decision, that's when the violence took place against Catholics and Catholic properties and churches. So it's been a year of violence against Catholics and Catholic institutions. So we don't want this to continue now to spill over into the Christmas season, but we know there are people out there who wish us ill will, and all we're asking the people to do, who are the eyes and ears, any Catholic organizations such as the Cardinal Newman ministries on the campus, let us know, give us a call, email us, let us know, we'll take it from there. And you can be anonymous. We understand that people are afraid to come forward. You give it to us, we're not afraid to come forward. This is what we do for a living, and we won't be passive.
Absolutely not. So I think that's a good spot to wrap it up. Dear viewer, if you could give this video a like and subscribe, that will help us beat Big Tech algorithm, get this in front of more people, get more people involved. And if you're interested in helping us in like this type of campaign, do check out our website, catholicleague.org. Consider becoming a member, and you can also find all the great stuff that we got going on here at the Catholic League. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you so much.